Hello and welcome to Show of the Week, a weekly show ostensibly about video games. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike, and this week I've been expanding my vocabulary thanks to the cast of Thief.
Anyone left who knows how to fix these frigging things? Harry friggin' bells. I don't like this.
I hate that friggin' bird.
It's been frigging brilliant. So what have you been up to?
Well, I was providing legal counsel to a Transylvanian count. You know, pick up a bit of extra money on the side.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, I think something bit me in my sleep, and now I feel really weird. Are you using all your blood?
Yes. You know, this all sounds awfully familiar.
Does it?
It does. You see, like the colour black, vampires never really go out of style. And if this last generation of games has been inexplicably short on vampire protagonists, that just means the time is right to bring back the world's most famous bloodsucker. Dracula, yes. Castlevania revives the Dracman in hack and slasher sequel Lords of Shadow 2, in which the action skips between a modern metropolis and an old-timey castle the size of Sheffield. Since the first game, holy warrior Gabriel Belmont has traded his mortality and shirt for an eternal life of vampiric powers and chest-bearing. That's a good deal. But as Dracula, revived in the present after centuries asleep, he is tormented by visions of his lost family.
You'll pay for what you did to me and my mother.
And generally sick of living.
Trevor,
Because, again like the colour black, vampires are gloomy by nature.
all I want to do is escape.
So Dracula's old friend Zobek offers to end his cursed existence in return for help foiling a satanic plot. That's another good deal.
The only weapon capable of ending your immortal life.
Even if hours later you find yourself mysteriously time-warped back to your old castle, fighting a lady vampire in a magic hamster ball, and wondering how it all came to this. Combat in Lords of Shadow 2 combines the Icy Void weapon, which restores health, and the Flaming Chaos weapon, which breaks shields, with the customary Castlevania whip. Smashing giant bosses and gangs of grunts is a satisfying combat experience, even though it lacks the precision and finesse of a top-tier action game. Lords of Shadow 2 also piles on the vampiric powers for getting around, such as the ability to turn into a mist to pass through vents. The game stumbles with the abilities that let you turn into a rat and possess people, however, and the stilted sections of compulsory stealth designed around them.
God protect us.
Dracula is meant to be a tortured villain, but in Lords of Shadow 2 he comes off more inconsistent than complex. The vampiric rage, attempted pathos, and a heavy-handed bit of first-person murder don't quite hang together. In the same way, the game tries a lot of things: epic action sequences, stealth sequences, puzzles, platforming, and ends up as a big, uneven game with just a handful of successes to recommend it. These are the combat system and the ornate excess of Castle Dracula. Oh, and for vampire enthusiasts, the all-too-rare opportunity to become a vampire.
A vampire.
That's what Mike reckons, but I think I would know if I were becoming a vampire.
A what?
Vampire. Sorry. Bleh.
Okay, well, let's just check if you've got any of the medically recognised symptoms.
It says here vampires are like Superman in the way that their powers vary depending on who is writing about them. Sometimes a vampire just gets the blood-sucking, the cape and that haircut. Other times they can transform into clouds of bats and control legions of the undead with their Nosferatu mind rays. In Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 you can freeze water and turn into a dragon, neither of which Bram Stoker had in mind back in 1897. Which goes to show, for the full inventory of vampire powers you need vampire video games. Check it out.
My fellow kindred, my apologies for disrupting any business.
The list of disciplines in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines reads like the game is locked in a "my dad is better than your dad" battle with every other piece of vampire fiction. Anything vaguely cool that a vampire might reasonably be rumoured to have done once, these guys can do. Everything from running really fast to summoning a spectral wolf. Still, the most fun you can have isn't sprouting feral claws or boiling your enemy's blood inside their veins. It's spending all your experience points on the seduction attribute and sleazing your way past every conceivable obstacle.
Dude, just go in.
Stealthy vampire RPG Dark is inspired by the powers of Vampire the Masquerade in the same way that Shia LaBeouf is inspired by the work of other, more talented people. Dark's vampire hero Eric Bane has access to vampire vision, oh god my eyes, and the vampire power of Distract, which amounts to a supernatural version of throwing a rock past a guard.
Someone's sticking around here.
Unfortunately, these powers come at a cost, as vampires here are totally unable to cross velvet ropes. He is also a terrible dancer, but it is unclear if that is a side effect of vampirism.
But what is it you seek?
Is it to be one of us?
Of course, Dark's Eric Bane gets to keep his human good looks. The vampires from Skyrim's Dawnguard add-on get a much worse time of it because they look like Gollum's big brother. At least they can switch between their human and vampire forms, which is handy, seeing as vampires in Skyrim have trouble fitting through doors. The power to hover and the power to turn into bats comes as standard. You're also told your vampire blood boils in the sunlight, but it doesn't seem to bother you that much, so I wouldn't worry.
My mind was in fragments.
The vampires of the Legacy of Kain series are a race all of their own.
I am Kain.
Kain, mightiest of all the vampires, possesses numerous and diverse dark gifts. Behold the formidable vampire power of mist, and of charm, and jump. Seems legit. But this special brand of vampire also evolves as it ages, starting with giant claw hands and later sprouting bony wings.
Until I have the honor of surpassing my lord.
Here's the bit where Kain's right-hand man Raziel evolves ahead of him and gets his wings first. Awkward.
For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward. Agony.
Most of the time in the Mega CD full-motion video game Night Trap, you're fighting augurs. They're not quite vampires, but they need blood to survive. Their powers include, I guess, that walk. And their weaknesses include falling into obvious traps a lot and ray guns. Later in the game, though, actual vampires show up.
Vampires? You gotta be jabbing me. Let's cuff these freaks and drag them downtown.
These guys have the usual super strength, but they're also immune to bullets. And have lightning hands and can teleport. Sadly, they have the same weakness to traps as the augurs.
The wall crack!
Capcom's Darkstalkers series is actually called Vampire in Japan, so you'd better believe the character Dmitry Maximov, a Romanian count, is going to be the last word in vampiric powers. So let's see, what have we got here? That looks like a Hadouken. And that's sort of Dragon Punch? I mean, that looks a bit like Vega's Izuna drop. Hey, that's that weird thing that Dalsim does. Alright, Capcom, back to Vampire School.
Now it's time to see what you said this week on our site, on the YouTube channel, and inscribing on bottles of holy water. No, it's not just Call of Duty with robots.
On every video.
Right? First up are your comments on last week's show about Thief and the mystery of my missing jewels. Thanks, officers. Yeah, take them away. Oh. Here they are. Oh boy.
So Masked Murderer takes time out of his busy schedule of masked murdering to say, Jane's pickpocketing herself. Good job on putting Mike in jail. You deserve a medal.
Actually, it's a certificate for outstanding public service. There was a short ceremony.
Lovely. Meanwhile, Peter Cullen says, tune in next week when Mike tries to stealthily escape from the police station with hilarious consequences.
It's fine. I told the police that he hadn't stolen my jewels, so they let him go.
Yeah, when exactly did you do that?
Well, I was busy on Friday and I had a thing, and then on the weekend I think the police aren't open, so I want to say Wednesday?
All's well that ends well.
Dazino says, after watching this video, I've now just stolen my girlfriend's underwear and now I'm wearing them.
Great, glad we could help. Last week also saw us take a look at the dumbest ways you can die in Titanfall.
It turns out you've all died in equally, if not dumber ways, such as Tom Scholes, who admits something I did a couple of times is using nuclear core eject only to hit something above the Titan. So I fell right next to the nuke as it explodes, sad face.
Ouch. Kiss Leatherface Kiss Kiss has another strong contender for most embarrassing death with the revelation that he has fallen off the map with my Titan. That was embarrassing.
I can imagine. Lastly, we've got a couple of people who've experienced our number 2 most embarrassing death, being killed by a grunt, getting in early with their excuses.
Ms. Fraggle Rock says, yep, done all of those, including getting killed by a grunt when my controller batteries ran out. Pure class, me.
While Flan M34 says, lets my older brother play once, and he got me number 2'd. My pilot could never live it down. Older brother, eh?
Whatever you say. Finally this week, your comments on our most stressful moments in gaming video, which included drowning hedgehogs and amateur eye surgery.
Video games are an enjoyable and relaxing pastime that can help you unwind after a tough day. Right, video games?
Some of you have stressful suggestions of your own, including a Valve fanboy who mentions in Deus Ex Human Revolution when a team of mercs shows up and tries to kill Malik. You have to save her, and if you mess up just once.
Uranium Nations has another good one from Fallout New Vegas Dead Money DLC. The beeping collar when you're close to a radio or loudspeaker, or the part where you have to escape the vault before the collar explodes, or just the goddamn collar in general. While Mr. Dumb Rodent simply states The Last of Us, the whole game.
Oh, finally, Michelle Lardoux gives us trying to avoid vampirism in Skyrim's Dawnguard DLC while not being a werewolf.
Avoiding vampirism like that's hard.
Are you wearing a cape now?
It's more of a long poncho. You done something to your neck. Looks lovely.
Don't vampires need to be invited into places?
Well, yeah, but this is our studio. I kind of
Well,
assumed that.
you are uninvited.
All right, I'm leaving, but not because I'm a vampire.
That's it for this week's show. If you liked it, please do give us a like, a favourite or a subscribe. They really do help.
And check us out on Twitter or facebook.com/outside Xbox if you want to get in touch. See you next week.
You know, this is fascinating. It says that vampires are compelled to pick up and count things if they're dropped on the floor.
No, don't. God damn it.